What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Me How Builds. This week we will be taking my Yamaha R3 and turning it into a street fighter bike. So gonna be doing this a little bit different this time. First things first, we gotta get the fairings taken off. Then we're gonna take off the seat. This bike had a lovely mess of wiring that the previous owner did. He wired in some AutoZone fog lights that looked absolutely terrible and used them as the headlights on this bike. You'll see that here in a little bit. First, got to finish pulling off all the fairings. Had to remove the little lock mechanism that was under the passenger seat. Alright, so there you can see those lovely headlights that were installed. So we're going to pull all this stuff off, get rid of the wiring that was added, and yeah, we're going to put on something that looks a little bit better. To fit the headlight that I wanted, I had to 3D print a little part. So made it, make sure it all fits and bolts up how we want it to, and then we're going to get it machined from aluminum. Switching over to a single headlight. It all fits and works out pretty well. We'll just have to figure out a fairing for it. This thing was just a wiring mess. Mess of wiring? Wiring mess. One of those things. A regular light switch, like for the interior panel of a car, was used for these headlights. Also, lots of zip ties holding lots of things in place. Look at that, it's a bird's nest. There are a whole bunch of wires that I wasn't sure what they go to. So I kind of had to trace down the wires and figure out what goes to what. signals also held on by zip ties. What a surprise. Muffler was held in by these very lovely straps. It actually wasn't held on at all. There was no springs on the muffler either, so there was a pretty big leak. Beautiful. So I ordered a muffler from Amazon just to get the elbow. It actually makes it sit correctly, and it came with the bracket. I know I have the rubber thing on the wrong side there on that brace. Bracket, whatever it is. I ended up switching that muffler out like 3 times till I finally found one that I liked a lot. But that one was fine, it just looked a bit beat up. The springs that came with it didn't work in this situation, so I went to Ace Hardware and picked up some springs that looked like they would work, and they did. Gotta do some maintenance on the bike since we don't know what was done on it. So we're going to pull the gas tank off, replace spark plugs, do an oil change, all that stuff as well. Just using some zip ties to hold the gas tank out of the way and keep it from falling down. Bike was dropped and the handlebar was bent, and I guess the radiator was replaced as well. They didn't get it on correctly. As you can see, they missed the top mounting point. So we're just going to fix that since we have the fairings off and everything apart. Alright, my favorite thing. Not really. I really don't enjoy doing wiring, and I didn't feel like soldering, so I used a union tie method to connect cables on this bike. I know some people like to frown upon that, but I guess I don't really care. It works. You can't pull them apart. Holds together. Of course, use heat shrink to keep the wires insulated from each other. It is one of the coolest things. So got the connector for the headlight connected. And then next I need to get the turn signals done, I think. Or not. Oh, we're doing something else. We're actually going to replace the rear brake lever pedal, brake pedal. When the bike was dropped, it was bent. You can see it kind of facing backward. I've seen a little bit what it's supposed to look like. Motorcycles use a lot of springs for things. There you go. See the left one goes forward and to the left. The right one just does a U-turn back. Assemble everything. Gotta love little cotter pins. All reassembled. Just need to put the foot peg back in, and everything's pretty much reassembled. I just need to put the foot peg back in. Alright, let's get the plug wires off and take the spark plugs out. Spark plugs look like spark plugs. Make sure you torque your spark plugs, putting them back in. Pop the boots back on. And done. Put the gas tank back on. Taillight had cracked tabs. I did buy a new one from TST Industries. It's gray and smoked. The little locking mechanism for the rear seat. I'll be switching the turn signals to little pod lights, but they are bright LEDs, so they do still retain nice visibility. Some new pod lights I'll be putting on from TST Industries as well. And here's the tail light. Just need to put the little grommets over. And here is where I realized that the bracket in the back here is actually a little bit bent from when the bike was dropped. So I'm gonna have to straighten it out a little bit. Part is as easy as plugging it in. Get the rear license plate stuff on. I want to throw out the cables through the inside, so I made a little hole to run the wiring through. The hole. Keep the back of the bike looking nice and clean. This was just a few screws that hold the panel in place. Connector just clips in for the tail light. And then for the turn signals, we had to actually cut some wires and get it all put back together. So when I extend the cables, as you can see, I can pull as hard as I want and it does not let go. The union ties work. Now we will be putting the little bullet connectors at the end so that it plugs in with we will be putting the bullet connectors on the end of the wire so that it plugs right in with the turn signals. So we don't have to cut off the bullet connectors from the turn signals. Just add these guys. That way if I ever have to remove them, it'll be easy to do so. Helps to have the turn signals face the right direction. There you have it, turn signals, taillight are on. Just finish up the front. For the front, I am cutting off the bullet connectors because the wiring is still there going to the original connector on the harness, so I can still leave it completely removable and just reuse the factory connector. Turn them on. Turn signal works. Other side works. Brakes work, headlight work. High beam works, everything works, look at that. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this week's episode. Next week we will be putting the bike together some more. I have new fairings coming in. I have a new front fender. Probably doing the full exhaust, oil change, and some other maintenance. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and tune in next week to see the rest of the build. Take care.